I also thank you for the honor that I can do this keynote lecture for you. And my special thanks to Professor Susan Liu for the invitation. Now let me start my lecture. Anti-stigma strategies in the workplace for people with mental illness in Japan. No conflict of interest. I will speak first. I speak about my principal message on this theme. Then, in Japan, we have Act on Promotion of Employment of Persons with Disabilities. And I speak about a program I developed, which is called Rework Program. This is a Japanese-style return to work program. And recently in Japan, we started peer support service reimbursement. And I have been doing support for industrial mental health. First, a principal message. Work is a productive activities of human beings. So in order for human beings to survive, work is important, almost essential activities. And at least for our experience, workplace mental health has given us best opportunities for anti-stigma. In Japan, as you know, prevention is classified as primary prevention to prevent illness, secondary prevention to detect the symptoms early and early intervention. Tertiary prevention is to prevent relapse of illness. Then, for the primary prevention, in Japan, the companies have to provide training for all the employees and also managers. And so for primary prevention, everyone needs to learn something about mental health. Secondary prevention is early detection of relapse. And in Japan, everyone receives stress check. And so again, everyone is made to be aware that we can receive stress, which may cause some mental stress. And tertiary prevention is a support for people with mental illness to continue working. And if people can continue working, then everyone at the workplace sees that people with mental illness can work and contribute to their companies and also the society. When people with mental illness can continue working, the situation is very good for the person, for the family, colleagues at work, companies, and society. Then, if they cannot work, eventually they have to receive pension. They have to live on welfare. If they can continue working, they will pay tax to the government. So if we succeed in this will be a good return of finance to the government. And when government sees this, then they may be interested to give more budget about mental health related activities. And I will explain about return to work, rework program in Japan. There are other kinds of return to work program globally. These programs are not expensive. And if the program succeeds and if people with mental illness can continue working, then people with mental illness can be considered as asset of the society rather than cost. Last year on October the 1st, there was a mental health forum at the WHO, and I appealed to the WHO to emphasize more that people with mental illness can be an asset of society and not a cost. Now, act on promotion of employment of persons with disabilities. This act obliges public and private corporations in Japan to hire disabled persons at a certain rate of employees, and recent amendments were done in 2018 and 22. Amendment 18, the required rate was heightened. Before, the rate was 2% for private corporation and 2.3% for public. In 18, the rate was heightened to 2.2% for private and 2.5% for public. And if corporations fail to meet the goal, there's penalty. USD $5 per month and person. So for one person, corporation has to pay 6,000 USD. And if a company hires more disabled people than this rate, then they can receive a reward. Reward is lower, USD 270 for a person. And so per year, if you hire one person more, then you can receive 3,200 USD per year. So this gives a very serious incentive for the corporation to hire people with disability. And in 22, there was a further amendment, and the amendment clarified the employer's responsibilities, which include they need to develop and enhance the vocational abilities of persons, their employees with disabilities. And also, the employers have to provide diverse working conditions, such as severely disabled person with mental disabilities can work only 10 to 20 hours per week, but the corporations have to consider providing this opportunity for the severely disabled. And based upon this act, we have observed an increase of employment of persons with disabilities. In 2018, for all disabilities, the number of employment was 437,000. In 20, the number increased to almost 480. Last year, 24, the number was 677,000. And this is all disabilities. Mental disabilities. In 18, the number was 67,000. In 20, increased to 88,000. Last year, the number was 150,000. So increase rate is for all disabilities from 18 to 20, 9.7%. 2024, 41%. But for mental disabilities, the increase rate was 18 to 20, 30.6%, and 20 to 24, 71.2%. So the more people with mental illness is now hired by corporations. Now I explain rework program which we have developed. Okay. We have individual vulnerability, and when we have stress, workplace stress, then we have onset. And sorry, animation is not working, but usually when you have an onset of illness, the vulnerability increases. But if you want to return to work, then you will return to the same stress. Then vulnerability increases and the stress is the same. Then relapse is a logical result. But to prevent this, some programs should improve resilience. Then we may prevent relapse, and the person with illness may continue working. And generally, there is a program called Illness Management and Recovery. This program is composed of stress. This program is based upon stress vulnerability model, includes information about illness, how to deal with symptoms, how to use medication, how to manage stress, how to prevent stress, what can be a strategy to develop, facilitate your recovery, how to gain social support, how to use resources. So this is a general recovery-oriented program. And so in Japan, we thought we may develop a program for return to work utilizing these IMR program principles. Rework program is a structured rehabilitation program. It is provided as group therapy, and it is in occupational therapy framework. So the participants do some sort of work-like activities. However, psychoeducation about illness is essential. And communication skill improvement is also very important. Because if you cannot communicate well at the workplace, if you cannot communicate that you are stressed, then you will be asked to do more work. If you cannot have a good communication to solve your problems, then the difficulty will increase. So communication skill is very important. And we are aiming at reformulation of identity. What do I mean? People have an identity that I'm healthy. Illness is not for me. Before they become illness, everyone thinks this way. But if you have mental illness and if you want to work, then your identity should be reformulated as I am a person who wants to continue working and living with mental illness. This is not an easy reformulation, but this is essential for the people. And to attain this, often in the program, we ask the person to reflect on the cause of illness, how I developed illness. This is never an easy task for people, but again, this is essential to prevent the future relapse, to better deal with stress. And but this is a painful task, but the program is in group therapy setting. So you have your peers to do this painful task. This is an example of a program: solitary work, group work, self-task, psychoeducation time, self-reflection upon your strengths, weakness, upon the cause of your illness, physical exercise. Group CBT is to improve communication skill. And at many, then there's a time that the graduate of this program can visit the program and encourage the participants that you can graduate from the program and you can return to work and you can continue working. And this is effectiveness of the return to work. Upper line is a rework group, and the lower group line is a control group, and people return to work and they have relapse, but the rework group had significantly longer continuation of work than the control group. In 1997, I first invented this program at my hospital, and now the rework program are provided not only at psychiatric facilities, but also many welfare work offices where many occupational therapists work, and even some corporations provide this program, and rework program is now becoming a norm to help people to return to work safely. The next issue is peer support service reimbursement. Peer support provides empathy and acceptance and assurance to others. Peer supporters can speak about the recovery life story. They are living evidence, and they can instill hope for future. So they are natural persons, and to peer patients, they can remind them their original possibilities or dreams. And so this help is something beyond medicine or welfare supports. And if peer supporter can help another person like this, and if that person can in turn help others, again, then there can be happy spiral. As you know, for peer supporters, there are voluntary, no-pay peer supporters, but some supporters get paid and do the peer support activities. And of course, we never minimize the significance and values of voluntary peer support However, Japanese government, in order to widen the work opportunities of the people with disabilities, government wanted to develop a scheme to train peer supporter as paid staff. In order to get paid by the government health insurance, then some qualification is necessary. To respond to this government's requirement, our research group developed basic and specific training courses for 5 core disabilities. 5 core disabilities are physical disability, mental disability, incurable disease, intellectual disability, and higher brain dysfunction. The basic training course is common to all 5 core disabilities. It consists of 7 hours, 20 minutes course over 2 days. The main contents is what is peer support, examples of peer support, what is the current welfare service available in Japan, what is expertise of peer supporter. The disability-specific course is for 9 hours over 2 days. The main content are review of basic course, basis of peer supporter expertise, how to utilize peer supporter expertise, how to manage your self-stress, and where to keep a boundary between you as peer supporter and the person to be helped, and how to do team approach with professional staff. And later, in addition to basic and specific course, as a supervision kind of course, we developed a follow-up course as well. Employer also receives this course. In order to get reimbursed, employer needs to receive the training courses, and they need to learn how to utilize the peer supporters, what should be the employment structure. And the peer supporters, in addition to the issues I explained, related welfare system, what does it mean to be hired as a peer supporter for various disabilities? And peer supporter professional staff collaboration is very important. Peer support and professional staff are, of course, both human beings, but peer supporters uses their own recovery story as basis of their support activities. But professional staff uses knowledge and experiences to provide support. When peer supporters uses knowledge, they use knowledge not as scientific knowledge, but information, how to do daily living better. Professional staff does not have recovery story. So they need to try to emphasize to help the patients. If I have this disorder, what will it be like? So peer supporters will do better to support for motivation of the person to be helped. And professional staff provides, in a way, support from outside, various knowledge based upon scientific evidence. But so clearly, these two expertises are different in some ways. Therefore, collaboration is important, essential. And the training course was completed in 2019 and started in 20. And based upon this training in 21, reimbursement for peer supporter reimbursement for trained peer supporter activities started. And municipal governments are now provide training to both employers and employees. This is the training figures for peer supporter, which mean they are employees. This is 22, 21, 22, 23. This is a basic course. Red is disorder specific course, and gray is follow-up course. So up to 23, 1,374 peer supporter received basic training course, 1,186 specific course, and 575 follow-up. So their activities are now reimbursed. Also, as I said, the manager, employer needs to receive training to get reimbursed. So this is the figure 20, 21, 22, 23, again, basic and disorder specific and follow-up. So up to 23, 1,183 managers received training, 997 specific courses, and 438 follow-up courses. So this number should have been more for 24 and 25. It seems I skipped one slide, but now I speak about support for industry. And as I said in the beginning, work is a productive activity. So when we develop programs for industry, the program should not only improve mental health, but also should help improve productivity. And if we can provide support measures this way, then it will ensure wide acceptance of the programs, of the measures, and then it can improve the stigma against mental illness among the people who are doing industry activities. And for primary prevention, we developed a textbook which uses the principle of group cognitive behavioral therapy. Of course, everyone knows cognitive behavioral therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy can be provided not only as individual therapy, but also as group therapy. And the group cognitive behavioral therapies, the effectiveness as a treatment has been now reported for bipolar disorder, for OCD, and depression. But we thought we can use group cognitive therapy concept not only for treatment, but also for primary prevention. Because cognitive behavioral therapy aims to improve flexibility in cognitions and improve problem-solving skills. Then, such skill can improve the work productivities as well. So, discussion in the group cognitive therapy setting can be expanded to improve work efficiency and productivity. And this is our textbook. The textbook is titled as Mental Health Promotion In-House Training Toolkit. And the content, main content, standard lecture slides. Slides are provided on the reduction of employees' workplace stress and promotion of a vibrant, more productive workplace. And also document templates are provided to plan a seminar, to preparatory checklists and questionnaires after the seminar for the participants. This is another textbook we developed. This textbook is titled as Communication Skills Workbook for Young People. Young company employees' mental health is increasing a concern for the companies. The main content include explanation on how a young company employees can acquire the necessary communication skill. Again, communication skill is very important and partly influenced by the social media or other internet experiences. In Japan, young company employees lacking necessary communication skills and fundamentals of interpersonal relationship, scenarios for trouble situations, practical advice for trouble situations, and suggestion for supporters, including corporation managers, university teachers, or even parents. Secondary prevention. In Japan, originally the company was obliged to provide health check to company employees. But before, health check was only physical. But in 2015, the health check was, the government decided that the health check should include psychological stress check. And workplaces, companies are required to conduct a follow-up interview with those company employees identified as highly stressed to prevent their sick leave. But unfortunately, many industrial physicians and staff lack the skill to conduct this follow-up interview. So again, our research group prepared this guidance textbook, which is titled as a Physician's Interview Guidance Manual. The main contents start with self-care recommendation for individuals who do not agree to receive the interview, because some highly stressed individuals do not agree to come and see a physician. In such cases, we need to accept it, but the industrial health staff can at least convey information on the self-care, how they can do self-care if they want. And if the person comes for interview, then physician will carry out the interview, and the interview procedures are provided as 10 steps. And some company employees may not want to see a physician, but may agree to see a non-physician staff, like nurse or psychologist, and suggestions for non-physician staff. And interview guidance now there are employees on discretionary working, which means that these employees do not work for set work hours. They will, in a way, they can manage their working hours, but they are obliged to produce the result of their work. This is called the discretionary working, and the interview for them is slightly different from the ordinary company employees. And the last part is question and answer for trouble situations. The tertiary prevention, the rework program, as I explained, provides support to an employee with a mental illness to return to work with minimized risks of relapse. But to attain this goal, there should be an appropriate judgment to assess the risks involved in return to work of an employee. To do this appropriate judgment, we developed a tool which is published as a part of this textbook. This textbook is titled as Everything About Return to Work, Everything About Return to Work Support That No One Could Write. And this book includes advice on various issues around return to work, including criteria to assess the risks involved of an employee's to return to work. And we developed a return to work checklist, which is composed of 23 items. The first area is basic life rhythm. The first item is sleep rhythm, regularity of meal. Second item is outdoor activity. The following area is symptoms, influence of symptoms. Third item, influence of psychic symptoms, somatic symptoms. Then sleep, restfulness, sleep hours, daytime sleepiness and interest. For the area of basic sociability, grooming, and capacity to carry out conversation smoothly. support resource area, relationship with family, relationship with physician. Workplace issue, the strength of intensity of trauma feeling and the past rule non-compliance behaviors, workability area, concentration, interest in work, and overall work capacity, restoration of work capacity. Preparation area, contact with management, preparation for work, health management area, medication compliance, acceptance of advice, and readiness to prevent relapse. And and we published a paper upon this checklist. We work checklist sufficient internal consistency and inter-rater reliability and predictive validity to predict the continuation of work for general population returning to work. So this is the summary of my presentation. In my view, workplace mental health provides the best visible opportunities for anti-stigma to mental illness. But what is essential is to find a way to achieve both mental health and work productivity simultaneously. In general, mental health activities should support other activities in the society too. What do I mean? If you do suicide prevention activity for workplace, then you can say that these activities will improve work productivity too. If you do suicide prevention activities for the education, you can tell the teachers that your activities will help the students to have a better relations with other peers, and their study performance may be improved. And if you do the work with elderly, then you can tell the community that then your activities will make the elderly life happier. So when you can add these social values of your activities, then your activities will be better appreciated and better accepted, so that the result of your activities reach more people in need. So this is my personal belief. Thank you very much for your attentive listening.
Thank you very much for your very rich information and inspiring information for us. So since the time is tight, and we may open one question.
In Taiwan, we are developing peer supporter training for people with psychiatric disability now, and we have social welfare training for 18 hours. And so I wonder, in Japan, after the training, how is their pay? And is that pay for the work full time in the because you have so many employer in that training? So that means that every business or company, they have their own peer supporter, or they act as a group. And how about their salary? And that's
about the peer support reimbursement. To be exact, it is facilities who receive reimbursement, and from that reimbursement they pay salary to the peer supporters. And for peer supporters who work at the facilities, and also people with mental illness who work for corporation, the next issue for us is improvement of salary. yes, more number of people are employed, but the salary level is lower, to be honest, compared with other employees. And currently, at many corporations, the career development is also limited for these employees with mental illness. So as a second step, third step, we want to improve the payment for these people and also equal opportunities of the career development we want to see, we want to realize.
The porter training is quite astonished for us to learn. And thank you for very inspiring talks. Yeah, it's very inspiring.
Thank you very much for your question and comment. Mandatory psychological stress assessment for employees is a great preventive policy, but does it violate an individual right to choose? How do you find the balance between employee consent and preventive policy? Thank you very much. This is a great, great question. When a person is identified as highly stressed, first, individually they receive the result. And the company will send a notice that if you want, you can see an industrial physician. As I said in my explanation, they may decline. They may say, I don't want to see an industrial physician. I do not want to be said that you are depressive disorder or whatever. So I don't want to see a physician. They can decline. But for such a case, in our textbook, then self-care information will be provided. Okay, you don't come, fine. But if you want, there is some information programs available for self-care. The second, after they receive an industrial interview, if the person agrees, the industrial physician will write an order to the corporation, to the workplace, how their work stress should be managed. If the person says, no, thank you, I do not want any information about this interview to be conveyed to the workplace or to the corporation, so no recommendation is necessary. Don't write anything. Then industrial physician will not write anything. So in that respect, the person has a choice whether they share some information about themselves for the benefit for themselves or not. So this is a policy in Japan.